He is a successful business person, he is a Toronto City Councillor and an advocate for his riding. But perhaps above all else, he is known for who he stands beside, his brother, Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. Joining us now for more about the man beside and behind the mayor. Here's Doug Ford, Toronto City Councillor for Ward 2, that's Etobicoke North, and we welcome you for the first time.
Thanks, Steve.
To this studio right now.
Appreciate it.
You and I met, I guess, at Doug Holliday's
That's right.
Campaign kickoff in the by-election, and
yes.
First time we've had a chance to have you in here. Well, this has been a significant week in terms of the evolution of the Toronto mayor's race. John Tory is in, Karen Stintz is in. Tell us how you think that affects the race as it is now.
Well, I guess it wasn't any surprise that they were hopping in. We look forward to Olivia hopping in and anyone else.
Olivia Chow.
Olivia Chow to hop in and let's get the race started. Look forward to the 110 debates that I guess all the candidates are going to have to go through, and we look forward to putting our record, or Rob's record, against their records.
Mr. Tory has some elective experience. Do you think he stacks up well against your brother?
Well, I don't know. All I can say is he's nowhere close to Rob Ford. He doesn't have any performance that we can judge him on. You know, he was at Queen's Park, and the first thing he did, he went in there and voted himself a pay hike, along with other MPPs. So, if
that was the first thing he did when he got to
one of
Queen's
the
Park?
first things, he went in and he agreed with the tax hike, and because of John Tory, I guess we've had many years of wasted dollars, billions of dollars, with the provincial government. So we'll have to,
because of John Tory.
Well, John Tory had the race wrapped up until he brought in the private school funding and all the rest, and then all of a sudden, bang! Next thing you know, we have a Liberal government in there that wastes billions of dollars, and we look forward to putting his record. He doesn't have. Olivia Chow doesn't have a record. Karen Stintz has a record of flip-flopping back and forth between streetcars and LRTs versus subways. But again, there's going to be, we're going to differentiate between Rob Ford, the accomplishments that he has done over the last 3 years, and the accomplishments that the other three want to try to do. The difference is, he's done it, they talk about it.
I think I've heard you describe John Tory as sort of one of the elites, one of the 1% of the city.
No, there's no doubt. He's hangs with the elites, the establishment. He's never went into TCHC housing, and if people think when they call John Tory, he's going to return their call and show up to their house like Rob Ford does, they have another thing coming.
Well, I thought it was an unusual thing to say, just because you guys are both from rich families.
Yeah, well, the difference is I work for my money, and I created a company down in the U.S. I built it from scratch without my dad and his money. John Tory inherited his, so that's the difference, I guess. And it's not about the 1%. It's about someone that is a populist like Rob, that you know, gets support from the Green Party, the NDP Party, the Liberal Party, and the fiscal conservatives in this great city. And we're going to be able to, again, put his record against the record of the others that they haven't done.
I don't want to get too much in the weeds in politics here, but I've often heard Toronto mayor's races described this way, like a hand. Here's Olivia Chow on one side, and here's Ford, Stintz, Soknacki, Tory, all vying for the same center-right vote on one side.
Well, I wouldn't call him center-right by any means. I don't believe center-right, center-left, because Rob is the biggest social liberal, if you want to call him that. I even call him social NDP sometimes. And he's a staunch fiscal conservative, but you have John Tory that believes in putting tolls in, that believes in increasing taxes to pay for subways. Rob Ford looks at running the city efficiently. We've saved over $800 million in efficiencies, $240 million on the car registration tax. We believe in finding efficiencies. The easy way out is to go there and say we're going to put tolls in, we're going to raise taxes. Karen Stintz, she's flip-flopped back and forth, and David Snodky, well, he was the one who did the sole source deal for the $1.2 billion with David Miller, along with selling our telephone poles. Hydro poles, I should say.
Let me ask about something I referred to in the intro, which is that you're the guy who's always seen beside or behind the mayor.
Sure, absolutely.
You have an unusual relationship, you two, in as much as usually the mayor is the mayor, but you seem to be almost a co-mayor. Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't say co-mayor. Make no mistake about it. Rob makes all the decisions, and at the end of the day, he bounces decisions off me, and no matter right or wrong, he makes the final decision. Make no mistake about it, and you can ask the councillors down there, and everyone will agree, Rob makes the decisions, not Doug Ford.
There seems to be you get two for the price of one with the Fords. I mean, it's been that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good deal. You have two people working their back off for the taxpayers, starting off with phone calls at 6 in the morning until 12 o'clock at night, and it goes 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and it does not stop.
It's odd. I'm not saying it's illegal, but it's odd that whenever I've seen Mayor Ford do interviews, you're almost always right there with him. Peter Mansbridge's interview, for example.
Sure.
A lot of the interviews with the American networks. I haven't seen that before. Why do you do that?
Well, I'm there. I'm supporting Rob, moving forward on our agenda, and that's just the way it is.
But why doesn't he do interviews by himself? Sit-down interviews.
He's done endless interviews by himself. Endless.
Sit-down interviews on television?
Oh, yeah. Endless interviews. He's been on.
Without you?
He's been on LeDrew, as biased as LeDrew is. He's been on LeDrew, and you know, and we'll get into the media on how biased they are.
You want to go there now?
Why not?
You just said LeDrew's biased. Okay, let me give you a chance to enunciate your thesis. Sure. Mainstream media in this town, you believe, are biased because what?
It's very simple. They don't like Rob Ford. They showed their true colors during the election. Now they're, you know, let's face it, one of the candidates, John Tory, is part of the media, part of the establishment that controls the media. And, you know, at the end of the day, he's part of that group. And it was pretty well proven today with the media when John Tory announced they were on over him. He's the golden boy and slick talking politician, and that's what he is. Rob's real, that's the difference. And they were lowballing the questions in. I walked through the door from the garage, and I've never been viciously attacked like that in my entire life in politics. And it was comical to a point, but the media in this city, even the U.S. media has come up here from ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, everyone says the same thing. I've never seen a biased media ever like there is in the city of Toronto. That's not Doug Ford saying it. That's all the major networks in the world saying it.
What have they reported that's been inaccurate?
You know something, they take a bias shot. CP24 is just constant attacks. News Talk 1010, which I understand, that's John's home base there. It starts off with More in the morning attacking him for 2 hours. Well, then it goes to Richards. Then it goes to the two guys at nighttime, and it's just around the clock attacks. And you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, and the common folks see right through this.
I'm going to ask you again, though. What have, for example, the Toronto Star, who I think you'll agree have been one of the most virulent against your brother, what have they reported that's been inaccurate? Well,
right off the hop, before Rob even announced, or was it when he announced, they accused him of hitting a kid on his football team. And thank God we found the kid, and he came out and told him that never happened. There was no apology, there was nothing. And the attacks just continue. But you know something? Moving forward, the media and the public sees right through the media. I hear it on the streets. I think the media lives in a little glass bubble that you know, they're incestuous, as I say. They're all related to each other and go to this, you know, run with the same group.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I'm obviously not here to defend all mainstream media in the city. It's not my position to do so. But they said your brother did drugs. He denied it. Then he admitted it. They said your brother was drunk at various public events. He denied it. Then he admitted it. I mean, there are numerous examples of where your brother has denied reports that have been in various newspapers and then had to come out later and say, actually, that was true.
Yeah, well, Steve, let me tell you, Rob wasn't elected because he was perfect by any means. He was elected to keep the taxes down, stop the gravy train, move the city forward. I want to remind you, our city is booming. We're in better shape than any city in North America. We have the lowest tax rate in North America. Again, we've saved over $1 billion. And
you've saved over $1 billion?
Yeah, well, it's $800 million in efficiencies and $240 million in the car registration tax. That's I'm sorry, it wasn't $1 billion, it was $1.04 billion. That's a hard cost, not mentioning all the soft costs that we've saved in efficiencies moving forward. We first mayor ever to have labor peace for 4 years. First mayor to say that he was going to outsource the garbage that saved $88 million. He did it. He, privatized the west of Yonge with the garbage. We're going to do east of Yonge in the new term. He made TTC an essential service. So everyone seems to be pretty happy. We created 56,000 jobs last year. Our city is booming, 189 cranes. No one can deny our city is booming under this administration.
I don't think people are. What I hear, and of course feel free to tell me I'm wrong,
Sure.
I hear less, I hear fewer people complaining about the agenda, which they don't mind. I hear more people complaining about, and you'll forgive me for putting it this way, but you've heard it this way before, they don't like the freak show that's attached to the agenda. They would love to be able, my sense, again, living here and seeing public opinion polls and so on, my sense is they don't mind the agenda, they don't like all the extra that comes with it. Would you speak to that?
Sure, I will. And I don't disagree with that comment at all. And it's Rob is responsible for a lot of that, not all of it by any means. The media just fuels it like I've never seen. They'll throw gas on the fire as much as they can. And Rob, did he have his issues? Absolutely. Is he moving forward? He is, 100%.
You said you didn't know, though, that he was doing drugs when he was doing drugs.
100%.
So if he's doing it again, there's every likelihood you don't know that either, right?
Well, I don't believe for a second that he is. And he's moving forward. He's working out 2 hours a day. He's living a healthy lifestyle. And he's doing really well.
There's no question he looks better, but he told Peter Mansbridge he was never going to take another drink, but he did.
Yeah, he slipped up. Something.
Couple
There's
times.
no doubt. He slipped up once, and it's going to move forward there.
Okay, but it goes back to the issue of, and I'm not one of these people who wants to spend a lot of time on somebody's private life. We generally don't talk about that here. But if people like the agenda, but they don't like all of that other stuff that goes with it, why shouldn't they vote for Tory or Stintz or Soknacki, where they may believe they can get just as good a conservative agenda and watching those pennies without all the added extra?
Yeah, but the truth of the matter, they aren't conservatives. With David Snodky, how can you be David Miller's budget chief, increase taxes 27.5% over his tenure of 7 years, and selling off our hydro poles, doing sole source deals for $1.2 billion? Then you have Karen Stintz on the other side, votes with the left the majority of the time. If you actually do your research, anyone, you'll see that the majority of her votes are with the left. And she flip-flops back and forth. She wants to build LRTs out to the people of Scarborough. And again, there's no record to run on.
Councillor Ford, let me just ask you an open-ended general question.
Sure.
Do you think politicians ought to be role models?
Well, I think they should be in all the areas, but they should also be real. You can get the slick-talking politicians like John Tory that get up there and say all the right things and can't make a decision. I'd hate to go into Baskin-Robbins with John Tory with the 31 flavors. You'd sit there for an hour and walk out with vanilla.
Why are you attacking him so much here?
Well, you know something? They want to compare John Tory to Rob Ford, and Rob Ford has about as much in common with John Tory as he does with Olivia Chow. Matter of fact, in certain social issues, I'm sure he probably sides with Olivia more than John Tory. And wait until Olivia gets in the race, and I'm sure she'll be saying her comments about the other candidates as well.
There's a story out there that in 2003, John Tory went to visit your family.
That's right.
To get their blessing on his running for mayor. And your mother is supposed to have said to him, okay, John, we like you, you can be the mayor, and then after that, it'll be Rob's turn.
Yeah.
So at some point, your family thought John Tory was okay. What's changed?
You know something? There's a long time from 2003 and 2014. There's a long time from 3.5 years ago. Now, John was the chair of Civic Action. He made it very clear he wants to deliver LRTs along Finch out to the people of Scarborough and North York and Etobicoke. He wants to deliver an LRT on Shepherd, which doesn't make sense whatsoever. And he wants to raise taxes. He wants to have tolls in, and it's documented in Civic Action, which Civic Action, in my opinion, was a waste of time. It was a pedestal for him to try to get his agenda out. They accomplished absolutely nothing. And I'm just speaking the truth. And sometimes it hurts when you hear the truth. I know myself.
What would you say, though, to those people who say, I can get the Ford agenda without going through all the Ford dramatics if I pick one of the other guys?
Well, again, I don't agree that they can get the Ford agenda. I just want to remind everyone, when Rob first got elected, there's another group down there called the City Council. We don't have a strong mayor system. I said under David Miller, you need a strong mayor system. You need one CEO in charge, hold them accountable. In 4 years, we live in a democracy. If you don't like him or her, the mayor of the day, you fire him. That makes a big part of it. Now, I got to remind you, we had 15 new councillors come on to council, and right from the get-go, as Howard Moscow, I'll quote, Rob Ford will not be able to pass one without council. Guess what? Howard Moscow was right. Until you have the system change, you're going to have a dysfunctional council, and some of the times, and other times, if right at the beginning with any election, Steve, the first 2 years you get your agenda through. I don't care if it's feds, province, or municipal.
It's harder after that.
It's a lot harder.
Yeah. Let me ask you about you. It's the worst, it was, I guess, the worst kept secret around that you were interested in running for provincial politics, and then you took yourself off the table several days ago. Why'd you do that? Well,
it's very clear. I can't put my butt on two sides of the fence. I'm not a fence sitter. I either have to make a decision that I'm going to be right out of the mayoral election, not help my brother, and run for the PC party. And my brother comes first over the PC party. And I mentioned that to the leader, Tim Hudak, which I think will make a great premier. And I look forward to him being the premier. But again, we aren't going to be involved in the provincial election. I got to focus 100% on being the campaign manager. It wouldn't be fair to Rob, our team, the PC party, or the leader of the PC party.
What if there's no election this spring and the election happens next spring after the municipal election? Would you change your mind?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think we need an election. We have an unelected premier. That was part of billion-dollar scandals. Not one, it just continued one after the other. And I think more people are worried about billions of dollars being stolen off them than Rob Ford's scandal.
Did Tim Hudak ask you not to run for him?
Absolutely not.
He did not say don't run?
Absolutely not. We had known Tim for a long time, since 1995. Had a good conversation. He fully understood where I was coming from. And again, I think Tim Hudak will be a great premier.
You could win that riding for him.
I could win that riding.
So why don't you?
Again, my loyalty is to my brother and to the City of Toronto and Etobicoke North. Etobicoke North comes first, along with the City of Toronto and my brother.
Your brother says someday you will be the leader of the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party.
Well, I'm glad he has confidence in me.
Is that your wish?
No, it's not my wish.
It is not your wish?
It's not my wish. You know, there's wishes, and then there's things that happen. You know, remember that I got a phone call from Rob when I was in Chicago 4 years ago, or 4.5 years ago, saying I'm going to run as mayor. You know, was that my wish to leave a successful company, a great life, and you know, go through what I've gone through 4 years? I've never worked harder for anyone in my entire life than working for the people.
I've also heard it said that Rob Ford, well, Rob Ford said we'd like to be Prime Minister of Canada someday. You think that's in the cards?
Oh, I don't know. Let's cross the bridge about the mayor first, and then we'll get to the PM many years later, I'm sure.
I mean, I've followed this stuff pretty carefully, and there was lots of rumbling around progressive conservative circles down at Queen's Park that they didn't want you. And so that the reason you're not running is not because you don't want your butt on two sides of the fence, but because this is a neater, cleaner way of telling the story that they don't want you.
Well, let me be
Anything
let me be very clear, 100%. I contacted Tim Hudak. I talked to his chief of staff. I came out and told him that I wasn't able to run, and it makes total sense that I'm someone's campaign manager. I can't pick Tim, he's a great guy, over my brother. And that's what I'd have to do. And I wish him all the best. We worked hard for him. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, there was Rob, myself, worked extremely hard in the last by-election to get a great guy, Doug Halliday, elected. And now it's Tim's job and the PC party to deliver a win, hopefully in the spring, and hopefully he'll become premier.
When you say deliver a win, are you spelling win W-I-N-N-E or W-I-N?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's W-I-N.
Okay, just checking. I don't want any inaccurate reporting to go on here. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Your upset with the mainstream media has led you to start your own channel. Yes. You guys have a channel on YouTube. I don't know that all of our viewers have had a chance to see it, so we're going to play a little snippet here and then chat about that.
Great.
Okay?
Excellent.
Roll tape, please.
Well, the reason we're doing this, folks, for the YouTube, we have a biased media. We've talked to media all over the world, and they've never, ever seen a biased media against the mayor, against myself, against our family, anywhere in the world. As they tell me, it's unprecedented. But the difference is, folks, the people out there are smarter than the media. The media will try to twist it, angle it every which way they can to make sure they put their little spin on the story. And but guess what, media? The people are too smart. They see right through all your shenanigans, and we're straight shooters, and we're going to tell you the way it is today.
Bob Ray used to say when he was premier, I never get into arguments with people who buy newsprint by the ton.
Yeah.
But you guys relish, it seems,
just
getting it on with the media.
Well,
and I wonder why you do.
Well, because the media is a bunch of bullies, and anyone can see that. They bully everyone. And for years, you know, the media, you know, a lot of media outlets, they used to influence the decision or make decisions. And there's a lot of weak politicians that would buckle if one of the major news media outlets or newspapers would print something. They'd all shake in their boots. Again, we have to call them out. They are biased. There's no doubt they're biased in our mind and in a lot of people's mind out there. They have their own agenda, and our agenda are the people. And what the people elected us to do, we do.
What's the media's agenda?
Well, make sure Rob Ford doesn't get reelected. And anyone, an outsider, I have a lot of American friends that watch it, and they've never seen anything like it.
Why do you think the media don't want Rob Ford back in as mayor?
Well, again, there's certain parts of the media, not all, but a good chunk of them, are part of that little elitist group that, you know, they all hang together and they believe they're better than everyone else, and what they say goes, and if you don't follow their instructions, then they try to intimidate you. They try to, you know, hide around and get you in the gotcha moment. And,
yeah, but it does not feel a bit odd to sort of blast the media when that includes the Toronto Sun and the Toronto Star? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty hard to put the two of them in the same conversation, isn't it?
Well, again, I didn't say all the media. I said the vast majority of the media. And they have their own little agenda. You're going to have to ask them what their agenda is, but it's pretty clear that they do have an agenda.
Well, could it be that the people who write the columns and the editorials and so on just want a mayor whose private life is less complicated so that he can focus entirely on the job?
So what's your excuse, Steve, when we first started? When we first announced, when the media came after us? What's the excuse there? It was just an onslaught of attacks with the media. They don't like Rob and I because we hold them accountable. They're used to being the king. They're used to bullying people. We stand up to the bullies because we don't like them. And there's one thing the media hates. The media hates to get criticized. They go ballistic. And you know something? I heard it on 640, Bill Carroll, a little while ago. He said the same thing. You attack the media, they despise that.
I wouldn't dispute that media can be awfully thin-skinned. I wouldn't dispute that. But having said that, it's not inappropriate, or I'll ask you that, I shouldn't say it, let me just ask you. Yeah. Is it inappropriate to ask that the chief magistrate of the fourth biggest city in North America not be on drugs or booze when he's doing his job?
Sure, I mean, that's a fair comment.
That's reasonable, isn't it?
That's a reasonable comment.
So how do we make sure that if Mr. Ford, your brother, gets back into office, that we don't have to worry about that?
Well, I think you'll have an opportunity over the next 7-8 months to determine that. The people determine that, and physically they're going to see a different person.
But if he fooled the closest person in the world to him, which is you, surely he can fool the rest of us, can't he?
Well, I don't think his mind's not on fooling people. His mind is on the people, returning calls, making sure that physically he's in shape, he's looking good, he's feeling good, and again, he's working out 2 hours a day, and I have all the confidence in the world.
Did you at any point in this drama suggest to him that he should take a leave of absence to get himself fixed up?
No, I sat down, talked to him, and had a personal conversation, and assured me that he's going to make a lifestyle change, which he has, and he's moving forward.
Which he has with a few exceptions.
Well, you know, everyone has a little slip up, and he's moving forward. I think he's doing a great job.
If you're not going to be there, you're not running again, right?
No.
So what are you going to do?
Well, right now, if Rob's fortunate enough to be reelected, I will be by his side. If I got to work for $1 a year to help him out, I'll work for $1 a year to make sure that his agenda gets move forward in the right direction.
So you might be his chief of staff, for example,
No,
something
I'm not
like
saying
that?
I'll be his chief of staff. I'll be beside him. I've had opportunities to be chair of pretty well almost any committee when I first went down there.
You're going to be around then?
Sure, I'll be around.
You're going to be around. You won't be an elected official, but you'll be around helping him.
I'll be around helping him.
Okay. So it's still two for the price of one.
I know that place like the back of my hand, not as well as Rob, but I'll tell you, there's 44 councillors, and everyone's wondering how Rob's going to move forward. They said the exact same thing before, and we were able to accomplish more in 3 years than David Miller did in 7. And again, everyone's assuming that 44 councillors are going to get elected, the same ones, and I'll bet my bottom dollar here with anyone, 44 of the same councillors aren't getting re-elected.
Well, no, they never are.
There was 15 new councillors last time. There's going to be 15 new councillors this time, and we're going to move forward with a new team.
Just a bit about the Ford family, if I could. We've heard this reference in the past to the Fords thinking of themselves kind of like Canada's Kennedys.
That's a joke. Matter of fact, it's a lie. It's not even a joke. It's an absolute lie. Never once has anyone in our family has ever said that once. If other people want to say that, I think it's not true. You know, we aren't even in the same leagues. We're in the minor leagues, and obviously President Kennedy and his family are in the major leagues. That's the difference. The only thing we have in common, we have two brothers in politics, and fighting for the little guy.
One of your kids going to get in?
I don't know. Well, we're going to have to see.
Who do you think's name is going to be on the ballot replacing Doug Ford on the municipal election?
Oh, possibly another Ford. We've been in that area for 50 years. We've served the people for 50 years. When they call, we show up to their door. We bend over backwards to help the people, and that's what our family is all about. Is about going out there, donating their time, and giving back to the community.
How much of Mayor Ford's mayoralty decision making is actually a family affair?
It's not. I hear these comments and I have to chuckle. Do you think we're going to call my 80-year-old mother on a decision? It just doesn't happen. My other brother, he thinks we're all crazy being in politics. He's in the business. He doesn't have anything to do with politics, and neither does my sister. And you know, Rob and I will sit down. Rob actually talks to a lot of people, a lot of other councillors down there. We'll bounce things off Francis Nunziata, Frank DeGiorgio, the budget chief, the other folks down there.
Okay, but your father was in politics. Your father,
yes.
Same name as you, was in politics and was an MPP at Queen's Park.
Yes.
Your mother is she is a bit of a leading family figure, if you like, and people do. Well, she has a couple thousand people over to her house for Ford Fest. So it doesn't seem beyond the pale to suggest that, not for every decision, obviously, but that the Ford family makes political decisions.
No, that's furthest from the truth. Rob makes the decisions. I've bounced things off him. He disagrees. You know something? You ask anyone. Rob has great political instinct. He knows what the people want and what they need. He returns 100 phone calls a day, which is unprecedented with any politicians. He's the only one. Gives his home phone number out. Mrs. Jones will call up, and he'll show up and help her fix her sidewalk. And people think, oh, Mrs. Jones, only a crack in the sidewalk or a pothole. Well, every time they drive out of their driveway and they hit that pothole, that's the most frustrating thing to them. But when Rob Ford comes along, he has that pothole fixed or whatever, the tree taken down or whatever they need, that's a relief.
Do we want the mayor fixing potholes in the city, or should the mayor?
It's all about customer service excellence. See, we're running on the platform of making sure that we have a transparent and accountable government that we have delivered, and we've stopped a lot of shenanigans over at TCHC when we first got elected, replaced the board. We have to make sure that we focus on subways, not LRTs. They're the most inefficient way of moving people, and customer service excellence. And most important is reducing the size and cost of government, which we have done. And we have proven we're one of Rob's the only politician, I guess, in recent memory, outside of maybe Mike Harris many years ago, that is actually, he's done what he said he was going to do. And that's
let me ask,
a rarity.
Forgive me, Mr. Ford, I'm going to do one more question here because we're just down to our last minute. I know your relationship with Ford Nation is something that you hold quite dear.
Yes.
And I wonder whether you believe that all of the extracurricular activity around your brother's personal life has affected his connection to Ford Nation.
No, not at all. We'll have a barbecue again this summer. I think we've set a record in Canada. I don't know of any other family barbecues that end up having close to 20,000 people in one end of the city. And then a few weeks later, we go to another end and a whole new group of 20,000 people show up, real people. And that's the difference, what I'm talking about. When we have parties, we have the real people. We have the union folks, frontline workers, and a wide variety of people. When other candidates have their party, they have it with a wine-sipping elitist and their pinky up in the air, looking down at all the blue-collar folks. So it's going to be the blue bloods against the blue collars, and hate to tell you, there's more blue-collar folks.
Stay tuned. We're going to watch with interest.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks for coming in and answering our questions today.
Thanks
That's Doug Ford, Toronto City Councillor, Ward 2, Etobicoke North.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.